definitely think I have lost a little bit of money a few times in that respect, but and it stinks, and you take that as a learning experience and say, okay, well, I'm going to try to be very, very careful going forward. But usually, your return on this is pretty high, and hopefully you're still going to cover yourself. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's happened, unfortunately. It's just one of those mistakes that you make, and you're like, oh, I mean, it was just like a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh no, I don't know if I should have paid that out for that. I'm having second guesses about that, so.
Yeah, that tends to still happen to us on occasion. We had a event recently where we purchased about $200 worth of just completely fake stuff.
Oh no, how did that happen?
Well, one of our people that was testing, I suppose, just made an assumption and it kind of went through, but there's not really much you can do outside of learning from it, looking at it and saying, okay, great, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? It's going to happen to everyone, whether they discover and realize it later on or not. It always happens, but is to having a strong enough payout profit margins that you can cover those events when they happen. With that said, what type of payment range have you and your sister preferred to stay within?
Well, what we do is we stick pretty much with the 10% to the host of a party, and I pay my sister 4% for helping me. And we usually pay out about, I don't know if I've ever done less than 50%. And people that I know well, I've done up to 80 and 85% of the spot price. So, yeah, it sort of just depends, and a lot of it depends on how far I have to travel, because I have to take that into account. In places where the value of the dollar is, well, I guess where things are I guess, how do I put this, are less expensive, I will usually pay out less. If I do a party in, a smaller town, I'm going to probably pay out a little bit less than I would in a larger town, just because the value of the dollar is different. Your money goes a lot further in a small town than it does here. You look at, it's just like comparing a city like New York City to a city like Louisville, Kentucky. Of course, if I was in New York, I'd be paying out a larger percentage, than I do here. So it just varies. So, but I've always been very lucky that I've been able to get my, I've made a pretty good profit. So, and I also, and this is something I'm going to start playing with, like I've typically given 2%. I think I've learned this from ETech about giving 2% to, referrals. So like if someone hosts a party and then someone originates a party from that original host party, then they get 2%. That original host gets 2% of the following party. I don't know if I really explained that right, but I'm going to start doing gift cards because I'm going to experiment with it. I'm going to see how it would work to do gift cards as an experiment, because I'm sort of spending a lot of time doing calculations, and I don't like to do math. So I'm thinking about just doing like, okay, if Sally comes to your party and ends up having her own party, then you'll get like a $25 gift card or something like that. I'm going to see how that works for a while. It's just sort of an experiment, and as opposed, like I said, to doing the 2%. So I think it should come out. I mean, I've paid out like $150 to people who have, for just the 2%, because I've paid out some crazy prices to a few parties lately. So I think it might work out better financially and just time-wise. So because I'm so busy, I do anything I can think of to just be more efficient and for this to not consume every bit of my time. Because I think if I let this consume every bit of my time, like this is all I could do.
Yeah. I see. And I mean, maybe you could even get a kickback from the gift card issuers.
I've thought about that. Yeah.
So,
do you know of anyone off the top of your head, like any companies? Like I thought about just doing some Google searches and see if I could find any, like, if I could get like $100 worth of gift cards for $90, or something like that.
Right. Well,
I'm sure there's something
for you, and for anyone that's listening. I would recommend contacting a local shopping mall, because malls always have promotions like that. Secondly, I would contact Visa and MasterCard. There are sales and marketing departments. They'll definitely have a program like that. And PayPal will absolutely have something like that. Maybe even Amazon. So those major sources, they probably have relationships like that established. They definitely do for extremely large bulk resellers. But even for smaller folks like us coming in and wanting to do that, there's opportunity to make the some affiliate dollars.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Susie.
Thank you for that idea.
Let me ask you, what's the strangest item that you've purchased?
Well, I have gotten the gold tooth before. I had a, this is, it's, I actually didn't purchase this, but it was sort of funny. This lady had a gold fingernail, and I guess these were really in style back in the 80s.
Wow.
I remember them being in style, and some people were just like, "You're crazy," but it's like the single, like 18 karat gold fingernail, and it was so light, it wasn't really worth very much. But she could not part with it. It was the funniest thing. She's like, she kept sticking it on her fingernail, and she kept thinking, "Oh, I might end up wearing this again." So I guess that's the strangest thing I've really had to deal with. So
was the idea there to have 10 of those fingernails and to glue them on before you go out?
I know. But yeah, do you remember that, Tuck? Whenever that was in style, or maybe you're younger than me. I don't know, but
no. I mean, I can remember those really long fingernails that curled around. That girl.
Well, this one didn't curl too much, but it was big. You know, it's like long. It was just like really light, and I'm sitting here thinking, are you really gonna wear this thing? You know, but she was one of those ladies. She had like tons of just like really gaudy jewelry and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and it's sometimes I just have to like keep myself from just chuckling because some of the stuff that you see coming through, gigantic fake stones that are like 3 inches wide with a big stone. It's like, come on, what are you?
I know, and what's really funny about that is you cannot ever prejudge in this. There have been a few instances where my sister and I are like, okay, well, you know, Martha is having this party, and if she invites Victoria, we know Victoria is going to have some really good stuff, you know, and we'll go and we'll get like really excited, and Victoria will show up with a bunch of like costume jewelry. And we'll pay her like $50, you know. You just never really know what you're going to get. So,
Susie, what's the most exciting piece that you've purchased, and let's say had maybe the hardest time of shipping out to a refiner? Because I know that we've had those experiences before over here where we've just seen things come through and just wish that we had a jewelry shop that we could resell the items in.
I know.
Or just keep some of them and wear them around. You know.
Well, actually, yeah, I've come really close to doing that. I bought quite a bit of 22 karat gold Indian jewelry from a lady who she had married an Indian guy. With a dot, not a feather.
Oh.
Is that politically incorrect? I don't know. Yeah, but so she had, you know, like a very elaborate Indian wedding, and you know, was just dripping in the gold jewelry and stuff. Well, the marriage fell apart, and she was like, I want to get rid of this stuff, which is understandable. You know, there's, you know, everyone has their own things. You know, I guess there was some. Just probably having it sitting around was very difficult for her. So it was some of the most amazing, stunning, gorgeous jewelry I've ever seen in my life. And you deal with lots of gold, and you know the look of something that's closer to 24 carats opposed to something that's closer to 6 carat. I mean, you can just tell it's almost like an orange color or something. It was so beautiful.
An orange color, right.
And so I bought all this gold